Did you know that integrating food plants into your garden can not only beautify your space but also reduce your grocery bills? It's true. Edible landscaping. The practice of incorporating food-producing plants into your garden design is not only aesthetically pleasing but also economically and environmentally beneficial. It provides a sustainable source of fresh organic produce right in your backyard. So, why not transform your garden into a functional and beautiful edible landscape? Planning is the first step towards creating a successful edible landscape. Imagine this, a garden that not only beautifies your space but also serves up a feast. That's the beauty of edible landscaping. But how do you bring this vision to life? Let's dive into planning and designing your dream edible landscape. First, consider the space you have. Is it a sprawling backyard, a compact urban garden, or a petite patio? No matter the size, an edible landscape can flourish, but the layout will differ. For more expansive gardens, you might consider raised beds or trellises, while container gardening is perfect for smaller spaces. Next, assess the sunlight and soil quality. Most vegetables and fruits need a good 6 to 8 hours of sunlight daily, so observe the sun's movement in your space. As for soil, it should be fertile and well-draining. Your local garden center can help you determine your soil type and suggest amendments if necessary. Now, on to the design. An edible landscape doesn't mean rows of vegetables like a traditional farm. Instead, think of combining aesthetics with functionality. You might want to create a potager garden, a French style where vegetables and herbs are planted in geometric patterns. Or perhaps a forest garden where plants are layered like a natural woodland, but with edible varieties. Consider integrating your edible plants with ornamental ones for a visually pleasing effect. For instance, the vibrant red of chili peppers can pop against the green foliage, while the delicate blossoms of fruit trees add a touch of whimsy. Also, think seasonally. With careful selection, you can have a garden that produces food year-round. Include a mix of annuals and perennials, and consider plants with different harvest times. Lastly, functionality is key. Your edible landscape should be easy to maintain and harvest. Place frequently used herbs close to your kitchen, and ensure paths are wide enough for comfortable access. With a good plan and design in place, you're ready to select your plants. Remember, creating an edible landscape is an art. It's about finding that perfect blend of beauty and bounty. So let your creativity soar and let's grow a garden that's a feast for the eyes and the table. Choosing the right plants is crucial for your edible landscape. It's like choosing the right ingredients for a sumptuous meal. Only this time our recipe is for an exquisite garden that offers both visual appeal and a bounty of fresh produce. So, where do we start? Well, the first factor to consider is your local climate. Some plants thrive in warmer climates while others prefer cooler environments. For instance, tomatoes and peppers love basking in the sun, while leafy greens like spinach and kale can tolerate some frost. Knowledge about your local weather patterns will guide you in selecting plants that will flourish in your garden. Next up, let's talk soil. Each plant has its own preference when it comes to the type of soil it loves. Some plants prefer a sandy loam, while others might relish a clay-rich soil. Testing your soil composition and pH level can provide valuable information to help you choose suitable plants. But don't worry, even if your soil isn't perfect, there are plenty of ways to amend it, and we'll delve into that in a future scene. Now, on to personal preference. Your garden should reflect your taste, not just visually but also in terms of what you love to eat. Are you a fan of fresh salads? Then lettuce, spinach, and radishes might be good options. Do you love cooking with fresh herbs? Why not include a herb garden section in your landscape with basil, thyme, and rosemary? The possibilities are endless. Finally, when starting out, it's always a good idea to choose plants that are easy to grow. Some popular choices include zucchinis, beans, and strawberries. These plants are great for beginners as they are quite forgiving and produce a generous yield. Remember, patience is key in gardening. It's all about trial and error and learning as you go. So don't be afraid to experiment and try new things. After all, variety is the spice of life. Now that you've selected your plants, it's time to integrate them into your garden. And we'll cover just how to do that in our next scene. Stay tuned. Integrating food plants into your existing garden design can be a fun and rewarding process. Imagine your garden as a canvas, and your food plants as the vibrant colors that bring it to life. The key is to think about the colors, shapes, and sizes of your food plants, and how they can enhance the overall aesthetic of your garden. Consider the color palette of your garden. You can use the bright reds of chili peppers, the deep purples of eggplants, or the vibrant greens of herbs to add pops of color. These food plants not only serve a practical purpose but also act as living art in your garden. Shapes and sizes of food plants also play a crucial role in your garden design. You can use tall plants like corn or sunflowers as a natural backdrop or privacy screen. On the other hand, low-growing plants like strawberries can serve as excellent ground covers, filling in bare spots and adding a touch of greenery. Now, let's talk about positioning. Food plants can be used in a variety of ways in your garden. One common approach is to use them as borders. For instance, a line of leafy greens or herbs can beautifully demarcate pathways or garden beds. Alternatively, you can use food plants as focal points. A robust tomato plant staked and trained on a decorative trellis, for example, can be quite the showstopper. Remember, integrating food plants into your garden doesn't mean you have to sacrifice beauty for practicality. Instead, it's all about striking a balance between the two. With a bit of creativity and planning, you can indeed have a garden that's as pleasing to the eye as it is to the palate. With your plants in place, you're almost done. The last step is taking care of your edible landscape, but that's a topic for our next scene. Stay tuned. Maintaining your edible landscape is essential for its success and longevity. Just as a car needs regular oil changes and tune-ups, your edible landscape requires consistent care to thrive and produce delicious, homegrown food. Let's start with watering. You must water your plants regularly, especially in the dry season. Keep in mind that different plants have different water requirements. Some plants prefer their soil to dry out between watering, while others prefer consistently moist soil. It's all about finding the right balance. Next, let's talk about fertilizing. Fertilizers help replenish the nutrients in the soil that plants use to grow. Using organic fertilizers like compost and worm castings can boost your garden's productivity while also being kinder to our environment. But what about pests? Pest control is a critical part of maintaining an edible landscape. While pests can be a nuisance, they're also a sign of a healthy ecosystem. Remember, not all bugs are bad. Ladybugs, for instance, are great for your garden as they eat aphids, a common garden pest. The trick is to strike a balance. Use organic pest control methods, such as introducing beneficial insects or using natural sprays, to keep pest populations in check. Lastly, there's harvesting. Harvesting your produce at the right time is crucial. Too early, and your vegetables and fruits may not be ripe. Too late, and they could be overripe or consumed by pests. Regular harvesting also encourages plants to produce more, so don't be shy about picking those tomatoes and strawberries. Above all, remember to enjoy the process. Gardening is a labor of love, a journey of learning and growth. Keep a close eye on your plants, learn their needs, and respond accordingly. Each plant is unique and will require different care, but that's part of the fun. It's a process that requires patience and attention, but the rewards are well worth it. With these maintenance tips, you're now ready to enjoy your beautiful and productive edible landscape. Creating an edible landscape is a rewarding journey that combines beauty and functionality. We've walked through the steps together: planning and designing, selecting your plants, integrating them into your garden, and maintaining your new edible oasis. Each of these stages brings its own joy and satisfaction as you see your garden transform from simple greenery to a flourishing food source. Imagine plucking fresh tomatoes straight from the vine for your salad, or picking crisp apples from your tree for a homemade pie. Picture yourself strolling through your garden, admiring the vibrant colors and diverse shapes of your edible plants, knowing they offer not just aesthetic pleasure, but also nourishment. This is the magic of an edible landscape. It's not just about the beauty of your outdoor space, but the sustainable lifestyle it promotes. It's about reducing your reliance on commercially grown produce and embracing the joy of growing your own food. It's about connecting with nature in a more intimate and meaningful way. But remember, an edible landscape is not a one-size-fits-all concept. Your garden should reflect your preferences and needs. Maybe you love spicy foods, so you plant different varieties of peppers. Or perhaps you have a sweet tooth, and you dedicate a corner of your garden to strawberries and blueberries. The possibilities are endless. Start planning your edible landscape today. Experiment with the ideas we've discussed, and don't forget to share your progress. Happy gardening!